We were also planning that sometime we need to do another camp like our Bhakti camp. We haven't really been able to settle. We need to plan ahead. We will see when and how we can do that. Om Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaye Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Namah Pranavathaya Shuddha Jnanaikamurtaye Nirmalaya Prashantaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
நமஸ்காரம் சுவாமிஜி.
ஓம்
ஓம். நான் அதான் உங்களுக்கு இருந்தேன். இப்போ அம்மா சார்தம் வருது, அப்புறம் எங்க மாமியார் வருஷாப்திகம் வருது. இந்த 3 வள்ளியும் சாண்ட் பண்ணலாம் இல்லையா புக் வச்சு.
Wonderful thing to do.
நீங்க அன்னைக்கு சொன்னதுக்கு அப்புறம் எனக்கு நம்ம கத்துக்கிறோமே, அப்புறம் அதுக்கு பிரயோஜனமும் வேணும்.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's a very, very nice thing to do.
Yeah. Thank you, Swamiji.
Oh. So towards the end of the second Valli, Nachiketas asks the real question, to which there is a direct answer given by his guru, Lord Yama. And very interesting the way the whole thing develops there. What is that we transcend dharma, adharma, karma, karma phala, time, space, everything? And I'll tell you briefly. Om Ityetat. Om is such a powerful one ekakshara. That is why Om you never stretch. Like some places they say Om. It is not that is not ekakshara. Om that we want to understand is ekakshara. Ekakshara Brahman. You know, akshara has also a meaning, that which is never destroyed. Kshara is to be destroyed. So this eka akshara, one meaning is one which has only one akshara. One which is the only one which is akshara. Eka akshara Brahman. That Om, he answers, saying that is the Om. That is what everybody is searching for, even if they don't know it. Sarve Veda Yat Padam Amananti. All Vedas talk about it. That is all the Vedas. Rest is all, although it looks bulky in the Karma Kanda, that is all in readiness for this knowledge of Om. that which everybody talks about. Every wise man says that is what you need to understand. For which everybody works. People like who committed themselves like us, who are searching for it because knowing that that is what I have to look for, they search for it. Others don't know, but they're still really looking for that. Whenever does anybody anything, any kind of activity, we think we are doing to gain money. Why? We think we are doing a lot to help the society. Why? Everything is because our quest is for this Ekaksharam. Om you can talk about for hours. You can take the literal meaning of Om, Om, and that covers the entire range of sounds that you can produce, that human system can produce. And the whole Jagat is nothing but sounds. It's only Nama. And the entire Jagat is covered by this one single Ekakshara called Om. Om has no religion. It's very silly to say Om is a Hindu. No, it is humanity. What do you think a person sitting in America doing whatever he's doing it for? He doesn't know it. Everybody is looking only for this one end, which is moksha, which is Om, understanding Om. Om is everything. So in brief, I've told you that which everybody is looking for. Knowingly or unknowingly, that padam is Om. Om is Aham. Om is Brahma. Om is Atma. Om is Aham. Same meaning. Everything to do with Asmat Pratyaya. Aham, Avam, Vayam. All the way down to Me, Asmakam. All the Tingantas, all the Kridantas. Everything is included. Because the whole Jagat is nothing but Om. When we understand that, the first thing we understand is Om is there for Ishvara. Because we are still at the stage when we are trying to figure out Ishvara. And therefore we can do Upasana for Om. We can use Om for Upasana, to understanding, praying to, gaining the Adhikaritvam by reaching out to Ishvara. Upasana means what? All the prayers, all the meditation, all the japa, everything that you do is Upasana. So on the one hand, you can use Om for Upasana. And then when one is ready, one can do Vichara on Om. On what is Om? It's a Shabda Pratika. Swamiji used to say that it's not right to put up Om in many places they put up Om. In fact, some places, ashrams I've seen, they say we are secular, we'll put Om and we'll put the Allah and we'll put the cross and we'll put everything. Meaningless. But okay, I can appreciate it at one level. They say, okay, let me at least get rid of this thing in my system. But Om is not, it's a sound. In English, they call it primordial sound. Sound which gives birth to everything. They don't understand what they're saying, but they say that. That is Om. Om is not Sanskrit if you take the correct meaning of Om. You can take it Om as a Sanskrit also. Comes from the root Ava, Rakshane. also very interesting. You look at so many prayers. What do you do? Please protect me. Our Pahimam, Trahimam. Every prayer has things like that. What do you want to protect yourself from? What is it that you're asking Ishvara to protect you from? In the beginning, I might think I'm asking Ishvara to protect me from all the evil around me. Then one graduates and says, I want to be protected from all the evil within me. Shadripuhu. Bhagavan has talked about it in the Gita. That constant Mahabharata is going on within me. That eternal Ripuhu, protect me from them. Help me gain mastery over all of those, which automatically means mastery over Ragadvesha. That is all. There I'm doing Upasana. Then I can evolve more. Understand at one level, Om is nothing but Ishvara. Om is Ishvara. You will see later on in the second Adhyaya, also Etad Vaitat, you will see repeatedly being used in the mantras in the second Adhyaya. Ishvara. As we visualize Ishvara as being everything, and then with that Ishvara's grace, I also begin to understand Om as Brahman. Om is Brahman. And that Brahman is Aham, Asmat Pratyaya. So the direct answer to his question, what is it that transcends all these? I will tell you briefly. You can't be briefer than there's only one Akshara, Om. Everything's covered. Then I contemplate on Om, then I do Vichara Om. I understand first Om is Parmeshvara, then Om is Brahman, then Om is Aham. Can't be any other way. That Om, that Brahma, that Atma, that Aham, in the next few mantras, he really delineates on that. Etadeva Aksharam Brahma. Etadeva Aksharam Param. It is the ultimate, that Ekaksharam. When you know that Akshara, when you know the meaning of the Akshara, when you know the Tattvartha of the Akshara, Om, you're there, you're home. What is home? In the 15th chapter, what is that verse? I think it should be the 8th verse, no? My memory is not keeping this with me. 6. न तद् भासयते सूर्यः न शशांको न पावकः यद् गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद् धाम paramam mama. That dhama, that home, you reached home. Etadav evaksharam nyatva yo yadichhati tasya tat. What do you desire? Hey, I desire to build my own house. I desire, currently I'm in a 2-bedroom house, I want a 3-bedroom house. I desire to travel the world. I wish I had a girlfriend. Anything you wish, what for? So when he says, Yadicchati tasya tat, transcend every wish and go to the next stage and the next stage and the next stage. The only Brahman left, only Atma left, only Moksha left. That Om he is talking about. And that is why he describes this. You can't describe something which has no qualities. So what does he do? Explains this to Nachiketa and to us. And Bhagavan Vyasacharya borrows it in toto for Bhagavad Gita. Second chapter Bhagavad Gita has a complete Upadesha. Na jayate mrete va kadachit. Na hanyate na hanyamane sharire. Addresses Nachiketa's first question. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Sharira goes, Atma remains. Atma is not born, is not something which will disappear. It does nothing. Nayam hanti na hanyate. There's nothing to do. There's no kartrithvam, there's no karta, there's no karma. When you read the Karika of Kathopanishad, we will do someday after we finish some of the other ones. Acharya says, what Guru, what Shishya, there's nothing. There's only Brahman. What kind of Brahman? What kind of Atma are you talking about? Desha Kala Vastu Anavachinna. Anoraniyam Mahato Mahiyan. The Atma of everything. The source of everything. The Atma of Maya is nothing but Brahman. Without Brahman, there is no Maya. Once you start with that, the Atma of Akasha is Brahman, Atma of Vayu is Brahman, Atma of Agni is Brahman, Atma of Apa is Brahman, Atma of Prithvi is Brahman, Atma of everything on this Prithvi is also Brahman. There is only one Atma. Tamakratu pashyati vita shokaha. Dhatu prasadan mahiyan atmana. Mahiyanam atmana. So he describes this in ways which you cannot make a mistake. Asino dure vrajati. Shayano yati sarvatah. He everywhere, because not contained by space, not contained by time. That which ashariram sharireshu anabasteshu avasthitam mahantam vibhumatmanam. When you know this Om or Aham or Brahman, matva dhiro na shochati. Everybody is trying to get rid of grief. I don't want to be subject to grief. You never were subject to grief. Grief doesn't belong to you. But my body is in pain. Sure, your body is in pain. Bless the body. Hope that the pain goes away soon. It will. Because nothing is nitya in this world. Very beautifully, Dharmaraja expands on this. Ekaksharam Brahma. That Om. Which at one level protects everything. Which at another level is the source of everything. Which at even a higher level is I, Aham. So having then explained the answer to the Chikita's question, Omityetat, tells you in the last 2 or 3 mantras. What is it that makes it difficult to get? Why can't everybody get it? Swamiji, you were saying everybody is searching for the same thing. Every single person in the world is searching for the same thing. No, Swami, I don't believe in all this. I'm not a sadhaka. Okay. Please try and understand what you're looking for. Whatever you're looking for is nothing but the same Brahman Atma, knowing yourself, the truth of the self. And you're not going to get it by talking to people who are in the same boat. Ayam Atma pravachanena labhya. Nor by saying, oh, I'm a very intelligent person. I have an IQ of close to 200. I can figure it out. You can't. We will see in the next mantra, next adhyaya, why you can't. You can't. You're not geared for it. Every equipment you have, every instrument you have, including all your senses, the manas, the buddhi, the antakarna, everything is designed not to get it. Is designed only for understanding Vishaya, objects of the world. How are you going to find out? On your own, no, I'm a very logical person. I'm an analytical person. I'm a high IQ person. Keep trying. At least you're trying. Because you're an intelligent person, you're a logical person, you will realize that you cannot get it on your own. You're a great scientist, a winner of Nobel Prize. Unlike our President Trump, who tried his best to get Nobel Prize for peace. You're such an intelligent person. So what do? You do research in your own field, deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into that, till you come to a state when you realize that you cannot go any deeper. Then you turn your attention to see, where can I find it? Hey, like Nachiketa, you go to Yamadharma Raja. He will tell you, if you're ready for it. Omityetat. Then you analyze Om. Then you do contemplation on Om. Try to understand what it is. Which, incidentally, if you do an analysis of all the top scientists in the world in the last 100 years or so, you will find a significantly large proportion of them towards the end of their career have turned either to Bhagavad Gita or to the Upanishad or to one of those texts. All of them have realized that this is not going to get from Medhaya, na bahuna shrutena. You're not going to get it like that. So when they recognize that, because you need to want to know this. Till that time, I'm still saying I'm a scientist in this field. I'm trying to get the greatest thing in this field, deepest meaning of this. I'm a botanist and I specialize in, jasmine as a flower. I've analyzed a flower inside out. I've seen how it grows. Seen the varieties. I've seen everything. I can tell you why the jasmine smells so beautiful. But then I still don't know how it was created, why it was created, who created it. So at some point, I start asking questions. I have in the meanwhile got lots of awards and prizes for whatever I've done. That's all laukika. So when I finally ask myself, where is the origin of this? How did it come about? How did it get smell? Oh, I've analyzed it. I've got all the chemical compounds by which it smells. Therefore, I can actually replicate nearly that in the lab. And therefore, you start a great fashion channel. And you know what happens? Anybody who wears natural flowers in the hair, the smell remains beautiful all the way through to the next day. And those who use chemically generated by the same compound, because they've analyzed the compound, when they wear that, in the party they smell great. I don't know how many of you have seen this. The next day, that smell is horrible. Have you noticed this? All these so-called fancy which are generated in the laboratory cannot match Ishvara. Just like, when you cook your product, your meals on fire and reheat it in the microwave. Those of you who have made an attempt at it, you will know that it doesn't taste the same. It doesn't taste the same. Well, one simple fact I will tell you in this that I've noticed. What you heat on the flame retains the heat much longer. What you heat in the microwave loses the heat very quickly. Initially, it's very hot, you can't even touch it. So the scientists are still wondering, how did this happen? Where is the difference? And then he goes and says, who created this? How do I find out how he created this? What is this he created? Where can I find out who this person is? And he turns to Bhagavad Gita or Upanishad. Then he starts saying, that Ishvara I want to understand. I am intelligent enough to understand that I have to understand that. And then Ramadharmaja says, look, we have to live a life of dharma. Navirato dushcharitat. Nashanto nasamahitaha. Nashantamanaso vapi. Prajnane naiva apnuyat. You will gain this only through jnanam given to you by an acharya, by a guru. You're not going to get it if you don't live your life as it should be lived, with consideration for all other beings, with ahimsa as the basis. You will not get it. So Yamadharmaraja is very clear. Because this Brahman, Atma, Aham, Om, is everything. We express this in a very beautiful way. Yasya brahmacha kshatram cha ubhe bhavata odana. It's as though Brahma, Kshatriya, Brahmana, everything, all, as if they were fodder. Scamless fodder, okay? And not fodder without a scam in it. You know that we've had this fodder scam in Bihar for many years. As though there's nothing, they don't exist. Mrityu doesn't exist. Mrityu is like a condiment for it. Mrityu yasya upasesanam cha. That Brahman, that Om, that Atma, that is the answer to your question. Now, he's given this answer. how do you think Nachiketa will grasp the tattvartha of this? He can at best negate what it is not. How is he going to gain that? Therefore, in the third Valli, some detailing is done. I am non-separate from this Brahma, Atma, Paramatma. How can it be non-separate? As long as this body is considered I, or anything to do with the body is considered I cannot be non-separate. Clearly, because this Sharira is an entity and Ishvara is another entity. So the only way this is possible is if I can take a step back and see the Sharira as not I. The Sharira meaning body, mind, sense complex. Karya, Karana, Sanghata. Sanghata, the whole complex. Because otherwise we'll argue, oh, maybe not the body, it's the mind. Maybe it's not the mind, it's some kind of a combination of body and mind. As long as one identifies with the body, mind, sense complex, there will always be a separate I and a separate non-I. And if I can look at the non-I as Ishvara, so that step, at least if we can understand that Om is everything, I can do Upasana to Om as Ishvara, then that is all power, all knowledge, because everything is Ishvara. And you, fortunately, since you are in this Sharira, I have to do everything with reference to the Sharira. And to get to this, I have to train my mind, my thinking, so that I can see, I can transcend this thinking of the Sharira and look at what is the Karanam for the Sharira. With the help of the Shastra, with the help of a Guru, and with the help of various drishtanta that are given in the Shastra, things like Swapna Prapancham, I can at least to begin with to see the possibility. I can visualize that there are different orders of reality. I'm sitting in that same secondary order of reality and trying to visualize that there are two orders of reality. Very difficult. I'm sitting in the Swapna Prapancham and trying to figure out that there must be another reality which transcends this Swapna reality. Very tough proposition. I cannot do it on my own. So what do I do? Hey Dharmaraja, tell me, how do I do this? From here, the entire third Valli, very beautiful development of understanding all the elements that are there in this body, mind, sense complex. Already, we might have studied Tattva Bodha, tells you how these are done, how the Sukshma Sharira is formed, how the Sthula Sharira is formed. etc. He says, look at all the components that you have. What takes you away from this search for moksha? What takes you away from the search for moksha? It is the senses. Their natural tendency is to go after sense objects. Very natural, very normal. Swabhavika. So somewhere I have to understand that that is not going to take me there. So there's beautiful Ratha Kalpana to begin with. Hey, take a Ratha. That Ratha, if it is left alone, the horses will take the Ratha where their interest is. So if you compare the horses to your senses, they will go where their interest is. Sight will go look for beautiful sight. Sound will look for pleasant sounds and so on. What do I do? Okay, you take charge. How do I take charge? Because all this input from the senses come to the antakarna, the manas, and the buddhi. Like two processors in a computer, all the inputs are coming. You have two CPUs. They get all the data. They also collect data from your memory, called chitta in this, and they process them. And like any other computer program, they process them to get an output. The mind, being fickle, processes it based on my eyesight's like that beautiful thing. It makes, because the eyesight gets that beautiful thing, it makes me happy without understanding who this me is. The buddhi should take charge of the mind. No, that's not the way to look at it. Because if you go there, you will miss the path. So Buddhi says, listen, that's not the way to do it. The output that I am proposing and I am pushing is for ignoring that and going straight. The Ratha goes on the path. Therefore, Buddhi is the key issue here. Therefore, he says, your reins, if you take as manas, if you let the reins loose, the horse will go where it finds fodder, or it finds whatever the horse is looking for, water, grass. But if you take charge of it and make it go on the path, straight and narrow, then you will remain on course. That buddhi compares to in the Ratha to the Sarathi, the one who drives the Ratha, who has been given the responsibility of keeping it straight and narrow by the Yajamana who is sitting in the Ratha. The Ratha itself, the whole shell, is Sharira. How nicely they've developed this Drishtanta. It's a Drishtanta, so you have to only take it as a Drishtanta. Once this is clear, then the next few verses talk about how important this is. Yastu Vijnanavan Bhavati Ayuktena Manasa Sada is Avidwan. Tasya Indriyanya Avashyani it goes the wrong direction because there's no control over the senses. On the other hand, when this Sarathi, the buddhi, is in control, it'll go in the right direction. Because if it is not, nasatat padamapnoti. Samsaram chadi gacchati, remains in the samsara. All the thing outside the grassland, the water, everything is samsara. It remains in samsara. Till at some point in time, parikshalokan, samsara ella path to, no, this is not it. Let's get back on the track. Lost a lot of time, but you come back on track. Till then, samsara. All that he explains beautifully in the next 4 or 5 verses. And finally, he says that one who has charge of senses, charge of the fickleness of the mind, charge of raga dvesha, tad Vishnoho paramam padam, gains the ultimate. It takes us to all of that. Then okay, this is the way it is. How do I go about understanding this? I am in this jagat. This body, like it or not, is me today. What do I do? Understand that what controls the senses is the external objects, sense objects. The sense objects make the senses go wherever they are. Arthaha. Indriyebhya para yarthaha. Therefore, they are superior. But all the indriyas can do is to collect the data and feed it to the manas. All 5 feed it to the manas. Manas has to then give direction. Therefore, manas is superior to all the indriyas. They just can't act on their own. But that manas, as we've seen, has a fickleness to it. Not easy to control. Arjuna's question in the 6th chapter, same thing. Therefore, you have another instrument called buddhi, the sarathi. Recognize the superiority of the buddhi. And then there is this beautiful transition. You take anything, not just the buddhi. All of them have a equivalence to the totality of that. My eyes see things. And if we talk of eyes in general, whether my eyes or the multiple eyes of a fly or an eye of an elephant or eye of all the other beings, what is their origin? There is, I'm coining a word, I-ness. Where does that come from? Not I-ness, E-Y-E-ness. Where does that come from? That is the totality of all the eyes. All the, not eyes, not the physical eyes, but the sight of all the eyes. This totality, in our thinking, we give it a name, what a way of doing it, and say, if I have issues related to the eye, I go to that devata. Eye devata. Aditya. You can have a devata for everything. Every function in the sharira can have a devata. because I understand that this individual function of the nose, of the smelling, of the whatever else there is only coming because there is a hearingness, sightness, which comes from the samashti. Now, if I take all of my entire physical body and look for a samashti, that is called virat, not individual components. I can do the same thing with all my sukshma sharira. All my sukshma sharira, really speaking, 4, plus pranapana ityadi. Manas, buddhi, ahankara, chitta. Chitta meaning memory. All the indriyas, all the karmendriyas, jnanendriyas, prana. We count all of them, there are 19 of them. They constitute my sukshma sharira. Again, I can take each individually and say sightness, samashti sightness. Smellness, samashti smellness. I can take all of them together. That is called Hiranyagarbha. In the way we look at it, this Hiranyagarbha is also called Prathamaja, Brahmaji. That Hiranyagarbha is the Sukshma Samashti, from which the Sthula Samashti Virat, all Sthula comes from Sukshma only. You've seen, again, referring back to Tattva Bodha, how the Panchikaranam takes place and all the Sukshma converts to Sthula. Therefore, every Sukshma is a superior, I will use the word because I can't think of a better word, than any Sthula. So the Samashti of all the Samashti Sukshma Sharira is called Hiranyagarbha. Individually, it is called Taijasa. All of these Sukshma Sharira and Sthula Sharira are Mithya. And where do they come from? Our own Ajnanam. So he says, if you can understand this step-by-step superiority, then later he talks about the superiority in 3 possible components. But before we go there, so this samashti, mahat, here he takes buddhi, because we already taken step by step, coming to buddhi as the superior. And the samashti buddhi, from which the buddhi, individual buddhi, really originates, called Hiranyagarbha, called Mahataha in this case. That, where does that come from? Ajnana, Maya, Avyakta. It is the karanam for that. And where does the Avyakta itself come from? There is no Avyakta. Avyakta literally, or Maya, Ajnana means false notion only. Only Brahman exists as truth. Therefore, that Brahman is superior to all of these. Without the Brahman, there is no Maya. Without the Maya, there is no Samashti. Without the Samashti, there is no Vyashti. Without the Vyashti Buddhi, there is no Manas. Without the fiber, there is no yarn. Without the yarn, there is no fabric. Without the fabric, there is no Angavastram. That final stage is called Purusha. Purushat param kinchit na. And nothing beyond that. Sa kashta sa paragatihi. That Purusha is what you're looking for. So here is a prakarana you can use to try and get to. And what kind of Purusha is this? Why is it that I can't get it? Why is it so many of us in this world can't understand this, can't see this? Because it is you. And you're searching for an object. That's what your buddhi is trained to do. Buddhi is designed to do. Where does the buddhi work? It gets all the data from your senses. And where does the data collect senses from? The senses collect data from? Outside world. All the object data. All the object data is collected, processed. So what is the output you're going to get? Object. Therefore, it is not very easily visible, perceptible to anybody. Although it is everything. Esha sarveshu bhuteshu guda atmana prakashate. It is there but doesn't reveal itself, doesn't show, because we are not geared to do that. Paranchikani we will see in the next adhyaya. All kanij, all our senses are designed to stray outside to the anatma and look for the data from there. So all you're collecting is anatma data. In computers, many of you will know, there is a term called GIGO. I've forgotten all that I used to use many years ago. Garbage in, garbage out. If your data is all about anatma, how are you going to know anything about atma? It doesn't matter how intelligent a person you are, how analytical a person you are. Garbage data will give you garbage out. So you just try and understand this. Because it is, everybody is nothing but Ishvara. That Brahman is all that there is. But it doesn't shine because the data you're collecting and feeding to your buddhi is the data of anatma. How do I say that then? Yamadharma, you explained, you've taken 3 vallis to explain what this is, but you're not, and now you told me this is the process I should follow. How do I gain this? With your normal buddhi and normal processing of the buddhi, with this you can't get it. So what do I do? 2 things. One is, please look for data elsewhere. If you think you're going to get a data from all your senses feeding from the anatma, you're never going to get it. So where do you get the data from? That data comes from Shastra as a pramana. Why Shastra pramana is so important? It's the only source which can give you data about I. There is no other source. Even that has to work on words. It will give you words. It will tell you, I is not the body, mind, sense complex. I have to understand that. It will tell you the entire Jagat is mithya. I don't know what mithya is. There is only one Satyam Brahma. So those words have to be explained, unfolded by somebody who's already understood. Who's already understood because his guru has taught him. How parampara becomes so important. That is one thing. Make sure that you get the correct input. And the second, how should the buddhi operate? I have collected a lot of data already in my buddhi. Much of it is junk as far as this knowledge is concerned. Very useful information for many other things. I've come up with new technologies, I've come up with new instruments, I've come up with all kinds of things, all relating to the Jagat. But as far as this knowledge is concerned about the I, it is garbage. So I have a whole lot of garbage in my head. Therefore, the first thing I have to do is to make sure that my mind is cleared of these objects. Not that you throw them and not you try to forget them. They are there, but they are not, you know that they are not part of this system of learning. Although you keep going back there because your experiences are important. And you want to make sure that whatever you now understand, it doesn't contradict all of that. You've got so much data already in your head. Number two. Number three, the normal processing by the buddhi is influenced very largely by two things. One, my likes and dislikes. Here, buddhi, I'm saying buddhi, manas together. And two, what everybody else tells me. Now you're living in a jagat with 9.5 billion people or 8.5 billion people, whatever it is, all who are telling you there is no such thing. Whatever you see is real, whatever you touch is real, whatever you perceive is real. Because they're all like you in the equivalent of a swapna prapancham. Only an odd person who has understood this says, listen, you're thinking wrong. And therefore you have to accept that person as a guru because he's got understood this. Therefore, gurumeva abhigachet. Samitpanihi. So keep aside all of these things that your conclusions you've drawn, all the data you've collected, all the processing you've done. Don't throw them out. But get this data from the Shastra, which is data about I, about what is not I, which the Guru has unfolded for you. That buddhi now is called a Sukshma buddhi. Because it is now capable of processing data on I. Because it has got the correct data. And it is prepared by not being influenced by too many external anatma inputs. That's Sukshma buddhi. And it concludes this by saying, all this looks very logical, but how do you, it is so difficult to do. How do I do this? So one of the things he said earlier itself is, take whatever the senses Karmendriya, Jnanendriya, their data, their actions, understand that the manas is behind them. Manas itself has to be in charge of, under the suzerainty of the buddhi. Therefore he says, Yached Vang Manasi Prajnaha. Yached, resolve into. Understand the fact that manas is more sukshma. Buddhi is even more sukshma than the manas. And that samashti of the buddhi, the samashti of the sukshma component of self, is even more pervasive. He is the karanam, he is the basis for this. And that itself comes because of Maya. And that Maya itself is, for want of a better word, imagined. Kalpita. Within Maya, this whole Sharira complex is there, which does its own thinking. And that thinking looks at Maya. And when it can understand that Maya, from which everything is originated, including my body, mind, sense complex, all my Sukshma Sharira, all my thinking, is itself Kalpita. What is then left? Shantatma. Prashantatma. I close my eyes and say, Atma, Anatma. What is Atma? What is Anatma? What is Brahman, which is Satyam? What is Mithya? Try and figure it out. Uttishtha. Jagrata. You are in the equivalent of Swapna Prapancham, where every force is trying to tell you only what you see is real. What you sense, what you perceive is real. And you have now at some point accepted Shastra, therefore you're questioning all that. And Shastra is saying, that which you see is not real. That which you perceive is not real, because you see it. Because you see it is an object, therefore it's anatma. When you say see, it's opacharikam, everything, see, sense, touch, everything. So, hey, mumukshvaha, uttishta, jagrata. How? Prapya varan nibodhata. Get somebody who's understood. Varan, acharyan. On your own, don't even try. It's as tough as walking on the razor edge. And he concludes this third chapter, third Valli, by repeating that which you are searching for, that which is knowingly, unknowingly. I repeat this. This bunch of people, we are knowingly looking for it. Everybody else is looking for it unknowingly. Everybody. It is not available to Shabda or any of the other senses. Ashabdam, Asparsham, Arupam, Arasam, Agandham. How are you going to get this? Nichaya tan mrityu mukhat pramuchyate. If you understand this by using the kind of methodology that Yamadharmaraja has given to Nachiketa and therefore to us, is when you nishchayena understand the nichaya, mrityu mukhat pramuchyate. You gain what you're looking for all the time, even if you don't know that is what you're looking for. Logically built. Nachiketam upakhyanam mrityupoktam sanatanam. Utva shrutva cha medhavi brahmaloke mahiyate. Learn this shrutva. Discuss and explain to whoever is interested. Uktva. That medhavi, that qualified person, becomes worthy of worship. Means what? Becomes Ishvara. Doesn't become Ishvara. He is Ishvara. I just recognize that he is Ishvara. That's all. So the whole third Valli is covering this whole process. One more final verse we've seen, that in an assembly of thinking person, chant this. Shabda Kale, chant this. Very powerful. All the three valleys. It will help in this process of learning. Running out of time. I wanted to spend some time on this Rakshana, Ava. One of the meanings of Om comes from the Dhatu, Ava Rakshane. We will talk a little bit more about this before we start the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.